to another episode of Teach Jenn Tech with my internet big brother, Anthony. Hi,
Hello.
how's it
What's up?
going?
Happy to be here. I shaved this time, so I look like a hobo on the Docker episode.
Well, good for you. What have you been up to lately? Who are you? Because I know you, but everybody else doesn't know you.
Yeah, so I am a developer advocate at Edgio, which is a deployment platform. I say it's like a combination of Netlify and Cloudflare. We have the power of Cloudflare, but the DX of Netlify is what I like to say. And yeah, I have been on this stream. I think this will be my fifth time. If you count that one time we tried to install a bunch of stuff but didn't, because there was the Vercel episode, the set up your CLI episode, the README driven development episode, and then the Docker episode. So now we got 5 in the can.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That does sound about. I feel like we need to plan for July 5th. Like if
One
you're
year
avail.
anniversary.
Yeah, be like, hey, we streamed a year ago today, but I'm like at the same time, I'm like, if
We could do a
it
watch
works out.
party of our own stream.
Oh, it just sounds so cringy to think about like what.
You'll see how far you've come in a year. Like way farther than most people.
Oh, geez. That's because I have people like you and Jacob that go, yeah, you could do better, but
Yeah,
I
it's
don't want
it's
to.
it's good to have people who can help you, accelerate.
It is, and y'all have, and I appreciate it. Okay, so what are we learning about today?
Yeah, I'm not sure how this came up, but we were talking on a very recent stream about transcriptions, and I had mentioned that I've been playing around with OpenAI's Whisper model, and this is like a tiny sliver of a much larger story that's happening right now with AI. So we can kind of zoom in at a couple different levels here. The main thing is that there's this company called OpenAI, which most people know of now because of ChatGPT, which is this chatbot that is smarter than any of your college professors. It's a very strange experience to talk to a robot that is so freakishly intelligent. It makes stuff up every now and then, and that's kind of what a
I
lot
was
of
gonna
people are
say it
hung
might
up
lie to
on.
you.
Yeah.
It might
And
lie to you,
have your
but it
college
is pretty
professors
smart.
never lied to you? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you at least can blame them and get away with it. ChatGPT, not so much.
Well, I mean, so I look at it this way: ChatGPT guaranteed will lie to you somewhere between, I would say, like 1% and 10% of the time, depending on what you're doing and what you're kind of asking it. Some people will lie to you 100% of the time, though.
This is true. This is true. And for y'all that aren't aware or never used the Chat GPT, I like to say the chat because I apparently it's a millennial thing and I'm just going to embrace it. It's what's
The
going to happen.
Yeah, I add that to lots of things, but I call it me and Scott call it homie GPT
Homie GPT.
because it's the homie. It does all our work for us.
All right. So we can ask it, ooh, and
Make
what
sure to switch
is
to GPT-4.
Oh, yes. So, if you want to go check this out, I'm actually paying for my Chat GPT because I'm needy and I need responses right away.
Mhm.
So,
And GPT-4 gives significantly better answers. Like it actually does make a difference.
I wanted to ask it, what is AI? It's given me a very long answer, so I'm going to
So
say explain in one sentence.
what I like to say is I say write that again, but make it half as long. That's one thing I do. When explaining one sentence is good too, though. This is how you can tell you've been using this thing for a while, because a lot of people don't understand that when you get a response from ChatGPT, you can ask it to make the response better. Some people just ask it and then get a response back and like, this response kind of sucks. ChatGPT sucks. I'm never gonna use this thing again. And it's like, no,
Yes.
you gotta work with it.
It's just like a conversation. If Anthony is not going to tell me the answer, I have to ask 7 different ways to be like, tell me the damn answer. Just kidding. But artificial intelligence, AI, is a field of computer science dedicated to creating machines that mimic human intelligence, such as problem solving, learning, and language understanding.
Yeah, and that's pretty good. And that's
Ooh.
not like, and the important thing here is that if you were to look up, like if you were to Google define AI, it would give you a dictionary definition, and that would not be this exact wording. This is not, it didn't go to a dictionary and look up a definition and then hand you the definition written in a dictionary. It actually wrote its own definition to define it.
Yes, and the Google answer is
AI is artificial intelligence.
yeah,
And see, this
that's not
shows actually
helpful.
how ChatGPT understood you were asking for a definition of AI, not what it's an acronym for. And Google did not. So this shows
Yes.
right now how on the first response, you got a more complete and comprehensive answer from ChatGPT than you did from Google. Now, this one's going to be interesting because this might be too new.
Yeah, it's too
Yet,
new.
see, it's too new. So this is the perennial problem with ChatGPT, that you can't ask it questions about things invented after September 2021,
It's
which is very
annoying.
frustrating. But something you could do instead is you could take the blog post about Whisper AI, copy paste it, and say summarize this article, and then it would write you a summary of what Whisper AI is by being prompted with the blog article. You don't need to necessarily do that right now.
If it's not too many characters.
Yes, it could take a lot. It could take, I think, up to like at least 1,000 words. So
4,000 characters. I may or
okay.
may not have messed with this a bit too much to know that.
I summarize articles every single week for my newsletter using ChatGPT. If you read javascriptjam.com, there's always a story of the week that's usually 90% written by ChatGPT.
I like it. I like it. I use ChatGPT a lot for ways to start things. And if you check out the video I did with Josh Goldberg a while back, we took a look on how to create talk information, which I need to go work on later. But
Yeah, there's all sorts
yay.
of lots of little things it can do. I mean, I feel like people get really hung up on what you can't do with it and like really harp on its limitations. And like those, it's important to know what those are. Once you know what those are, you avoid those or mitigate those and find the things it actually can do. Because the things it can do is actually quite striking if you kind of get into it. You think about the sum total of every little task you do in your day to day, you know? So I think I say, like, pay attention to what AI can do more than what it can't do. After you learn what it can't do, that's really all you need to know. Just move on. Understand that the models will get better, and things it can't do now, it may be able to do in the future, but you shouldn't worry about that. You should worry about what it can do today. So
But
before we,
Anthony,
yes.
won't AI take our jobs?
I mean, so many people, this is a pat phrase by now, but people say AI won't take your job. A person with AI might, though. So
Oh. Isn't it gonna like become and take over the world and make it really scary to live here?
this is a great question, actually. This is what got me into AI back in 2015, is what's called the AI safety problem, which is, will AI, it's called the AI safety problem or the alignment problem. There's a couple different terms for it. Basically, will AI, once it's smarter than humans, decide to kill us all or create a utopia? Because it has to do one or the other for some reason. That has to do with math that they won't explain to you.
And what up, Ryan? And Laura. Hello, Laura. Hello, Ryan. Um, only one or the other, not,
And I'm being ironic there, because there's this term called the singularity, and the idea with the singularity is that once you build something smarter than yourself, by definition you're unable to predict the future, because you can't know what it's going to do if it's smarter than you, because you don't actually have the ability to understand its mental model. So there's what's this term of like understanding that other people have like independent consciousness from you. There's this theory of mind, like we can't have a theory of mind about a thing that is smarter than us, because by definition it's beyond us. So by that definition, we can't say whether it's going to kill us all, or that it's going to build a utopia definitively one way or the other, or that might do something totally in the middle, or it might just decide to leave. Like that's what happens in Her, if you've ever seen that movie. So the people who worry about this worry because the fact that we cannot, by definition, predict what's going to happen, we can't say for sure that it won't kill us all. So it might decide to kill us all, and we won't be able to prove that it won't. But that doesn't mean it guaranteed will kill us all. It just means it might. So that's why people are kind of super worried about it.
Laura, you gave me my first. I had to approve your message. That was fun. Yeah, yeah, and that is the downfall of AI. Is it could make a lot of systemic issues that we already have worse.
Yeah, and this is a good point from Laura, is that part of the alignment problem isn't necessarily align it so it doesn't kill us all. It's align it with actual good morals and ethics and actually understand how to treat humans fairly. And it's hard to actually define that mathematically and like in a guaranteed way. So that's why these models have to constantly be watched and double checked by humans and corrected and slowly made less and less racist. So yeah.
Yeah, and yes, Laura, I know, because we already have our, what is it called when the face detection? There we go, and those type of things. There are a lot of things in technology already that is not just AI that already has racist issues.
Yep.
And so with Whisper, explain Whisper.
Yeah, so Whisper is a transcription model. So a lot of the current issues we're talking about aren't really that pressing here because you don't have to worry about it hallucinating something, and you don't have to worry about using it to decide how long someone's prison sentence is going to be. Like those are the things where all these societal issues start to come in. This just, you give it text and it outputs, you give it audio and it outputs text from that audio. So
Mm-hmm.
there is some issues in the sense that it's going to be better at English than other languages because it's trained overall on English data and certain types of voices. So I shouldn't say that that doesn't entirely come into play here. I'm saying that it's a
Right.
different set of issues. These things are always going to come into play. But for what you're doing, you're someone who is recording audio with nice microphones for the most part, and you speak English, and you are someone who will be able to benefit from this technology, thankfully. So that's an example where you are going to be kind of on the cutting edge here in terms of understanding what you can do with these models. Now, this isn't necessarily to say you can't do really nice transcription with the current tech, but you have to pay for it usually. Like if you're using someone like Descript, like Descript's expensive. So
It
if you want to be able to
is.
transcribe a lot of audio and have it be very accurate and very fast, you usually have to pay a bunch of money. Whereas I'm going to show you how to do this entirely with open source models.
I'm looking forward to it. And this is also what got us to where we're at is for those who've been hanging out for a minute, know that I've been working on getting my website back up and running and automating some shit because I can't do it as a one person show. And so that's where the transcript came in. And also, we may be working on this a little bit later in the stream if we have time.
Oh yeah.
We'll find out. Okay. So
And we should not talk about anything else until we start running a command, because this command I think is going to take at least 5 minutes, if not longer. So we should run this, and then while it's running in the background, continue on with our conversation. Because part of what I'm showing you here is that there's going to be a way to do this in Python and a way to do this in C++. And the way to do it in C++
okay.
is a little more complicated, but that's because it's going to be way faster. It's going to take like 10 seconds instead of 5 minutes to transcribe a minute of audio.
Okay. I'm glad Laura is around because she's like the Python queen.
Yeah, we're doing
right.
Python today. I learned how to install something with Python specifically to do this.
Okay. Okay. So I will share my screen.
And then let me share this gist to throw this up on the screen just very quickly.
Yeah, I'm going to the one that is not, because if I try to copy and paste it, it doesn't want to. But if I do it there, it will. There we go. Ta-da!
Yeah. Great. So if you scroll down a little bit, we've already done some of these steps. So keep going down to where the commands start.
We've done
Yes.
all of this
Yeah, so
except
you already
this bottom one.
Yeah, so you installed FFmpeg. That's a tool that's going to allow us to convert because for the Whisper model, it needs to be in wave format. So you need a tool that can convert things from like MP3s to waves or whatever kind of file you have. So that's why I'm giving you FFmpeg here. And then with Python, we installed the OpenAI Whisper. So let's go up to the very first section and the third command here.
This one.
Yeah. So with this, you see I have a comment written there. That's because there's a couple different sized models here. There's like the tiny base, small, medium, large, and then large V2. Basically, the larger the model is, the more accurate it is, but the longer it takes to transcribe. So I don't want to sacrifice any quality of transcription because it already is not going to be 100% accurate. So I want it to be as close to 100% accurate as possible. So I'm always going to go with the largest possible model they can give me because that's going to be the most accurate. The problem is that means it would take me like 4 hours to transcribe like an hour-long podcast, or actually even longer than that, probably 5 or 6 or 7 hours. So it is frustrating from that respect. Now, I gave you a 1 minute audio clip. Do you have that on your computer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're gonna have to run that command in whatever directory has that file.
Give me a second because I'm gonna move the file actually.
Yeah, I would just plop it right in your code folder if that's where your terminal is right now.
That is, yay.
Yeah, I can see because it says code on your.
But should I put it in code? Well, yeah, because it does show there. Okay, cool. Convert.
Let's do this. Let's make a directory called Whisper in your code folder, and then let's do everything in there.
Okay, because there's a whisper.cpp in here. I'll show you guys. You guys can see my folder structure. So we'll do a new folder and call it AI Whisper. Whisper. We're doing it that way since there's a Whisper one already in there.
Yeah, cool.
And copy this after I go into that folder.
So not that command. So
go into this folder.
Do go into this folder, but the command you copied is not the right command. So scroll up. So that's all the Whisper CPPs. So first I want to show the Python one. So,
okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So grab that Python command. So you've already done that. You already did brew FFmpeg, and you already did the pip install, I believe. So you can skip those ones. So you're grabbing exactly. Yeah. And then just delete that stuff after the hashtag.
Now I'm curious. I don't.
Okay. So.
Yeah, it didn't like it because I had all this stuff in there.
Yeah. So let's see. Hopefully that'll work.
No.
Okay, so run the command right above it again and make sure you actually installed it. Okay, and now try the other one again. Just bump up. You can just go up on your keyboard in the terminal.
Yeah, like I thought I was clicked in the terminal. I wasn't. Yeah, it's that one. There we go.
Okay, so you have an issue with your Python.
Python, come on, we can be friends.
So I would have no idea how to fix this, so I would copy paste that whole error into ChatGPT and ask it to fix it unless Laura knows what to do. Because it looks like it's something to do with your version of Python. It's saying, is this example on purpose? It says URL lib3 version 2 only supports OpenSSL 1.1.1. Currently SSL modules compiled with LibreSSL. Yeah.
Well, ChatGPT, see if you can figure out how to fix this. Click the plus sign.
Make sure you use 4.
How to fix this error. And what were you saying about the quotes and stuff? Because I can do a single quote and it figures it out.
Okay, then that's fine. then just it's
I was
smart
like
enough to know.
so confused by like I can do this and it's like happy.
Open up
Mhm.
your, let's see. Yep. This means your Python environment has about, yeah, it's, and this is, I know this is the issue. The question is how to fix it. Okay, that's one thing. All right, that's another one. Okay, well, let's try option 1.
Oh, yay. Well, hopefully it doesn't end up being, you know, a 45-minute stream of, yay, it was quick. Okay, so we are going to do.
There was another step though.
No, it said option 2.
Nope, there's 2 steps there.
Ah, it's not going to work. At least maybe this one it will.
So
It
this
is
one,
a different computer.
before you run this, you can't run this right here. Hold on. Or actually, maybe you can. Do it. See what happens.
There, it ran.
And then I'd restart this terminal as well, just to make sure that takes hold. How do you like Hyper?
I like it. I can actually see things. It's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see CD AI Whisper, and we're going to do this one.
Yep.
No.
Okay, so try option 2. And
What
if this
up,
doesn't end up
Chris?
working, it's not the end of the world if we can get the C++ one to work, because the only thing I wanted to show is that this would take 5 minutes. And in general, oh yeah, that might be good. And in general, the C++ one is the one you're actually going to want to use. So this is more of an example that I wanted to show why not to do this. So if we can't get it to work, it's not the end of the world.
But isn't I'm just gonna
Try that one. Yeah.
Sure.
You got 2 commands there, so you should copy each of them independently. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have pip.
Yeah, and this is, I don't know, Python virtual environments and stuff like this. So that's why the commands I had are like that, where they have Python 3 stuff in there. So you're still not Python conversant enough yet to get a virtual environment set
Well,
up?
I had to stop on Python to like stick with something.
Mm-hmm.
And I did.
Okay, this might
sticking
work.
with TypeScript.
Let's see what happens with this.
Yeah. We'll find out. Probably tell me no pip. Oh.
Yeah, this is what getting a virtual environment set up. So now let's see if the command actually works.
Well,
yeah, just try running that command again.
I'll try installing.
You need to go all the way back to Python 3 on the line above.
Ah, thank you. Hey. Okay. So let's go back to
one more time.
This one. Hey, I didn't get an error.
Yeah, but that's not correct though. That should have started transcribing. So
okay, well, let's try this.
I think you're installing Python inside a Python virtual environment now. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see.
Well, that's fun. And then we'll do this and see if it actually.
Don't forget those extra things on the end.
Oh, damn it.
I don't think those actually matter though.
Well, I don't like it.
It's the same error.
Enter. Yeah, no. Okay.
Okay, so let's just do the Whisper one then. So go back to your folders and open up in your Finder. So grab that MP3 and then drag it into Whisper CPP. Yep. And then open Whisper CCP and then drag it into samples specifically. Yeah, and if you look at samples right now, there's a file called JFK. That's the example they get, but I wanted to have a cooler Teach Jenn Tech example we can transcribe.
You didn't want to do, is this the one? No, it's not. The one that you did a funny intro.
No, it's not. That probably would have been better, but this is our first interaction on stream. It's cute. So now you want to get into that Whisper CPP directory specifically.
Okay, so CD. Oh, Whisper. And then samples, right?
No. So I
No,
already
just
accounted
this
for
one.
that in the commands. So then go back to the gist.
Okay, let's I feel like we can put these side by side again.
Yeah,
Yay.
yeah. So grab that whole FFM. So we did all four of those steps should already be done, right? Did you do these already?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So then do this one. And with that, to do that command, you need to be in the samples directory. So go into samples now. Yeah, exactly. So then run that. Yep. And then pop back out. Just do CD period. Great. And then run that big command, the next one in the gist. And what this is going to do is this is going to output a whole bunch of different formats. So hopefully this works. If not, we're screwed.
Well, it'll think about it. And hey, Chris, we might work on some database stuff
Great.
today too.
Okay, so open that up wider real quick.
Oh, it's when I couldn't like say, oh, look at how adorable it was.
Yeah. And you see how this is that took like less than a minute, you know. If we'd done it with Python, it would have taken about 5 minutes. So that's why I say like if you're transcribing hours and hours of text, like you're talking about an hour versus 20 hours of time to do that. So you don't need to copy paste this. It dumped this in files. Are you gonna ask
it to remove the time codes? I'm just curious.
That's what I'm saying. It made a bunch of files for you already.
Oh, that's cool. I still want to know if it can do it. Now I'm just curious if it can do it. Like if it's smart enough to do it. It is.
Yeah, it's good for these kind of data munching tasks.
Look at that. That was fun.
So if we actually look at what it's outputting, we'll notice it's making one big mistake here, which is that it thinks Jenn is Jenn, Gen, instead of Jenn.
Yeah.
But what's nice is it does that consistently. So you could do a find and replace to fix all of those at once. But then aside from that, we see some of these terms here. It knows what Redwood.js is. It knows to capitalize Redwood.js. It knows what React is. It knows to capitalize React. It got Vercel wrong, which is kind of interesting. But this is almost entirely accurate. And if you've ever used transcription, like free transcription services in the past, especially for technical content, usually it's much, much worse than this. So the first time I used this, I was pretty shocked by just how little modification it required. If you compare this to something like YouTube automatic captions, it's a night and day difference.
The Teach Jenn shit. But I'm not surprised that I probably said that.
I said that.
Oh, you? Okay. Well, whoever.
That's why I asked, is this a swear-friendly stream first?
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been 11 months today. 11 months. Oh my gosh. That's so fun. And I think I'm going to hit over 100 episodes. I think.
That's sweet.
That is bananas. Okay. So if I'm just curious. So
I tried something fun because I ran this beforehand and transcribed the same thing, and then I asked ChatGPT to summarize it. and it wrote this summary. If you want to put that on screen.
Look at that.
So this is where it's pretty cool. And you start to see some of the workflows you can start to create is that once you can take your video and dump a large scale transcription, even if there's kind of like some small mistakes in there, you can still generate summaries and you can take chunks of it and compress it down to smaller chunks. And so it gives you just the ability to create a much larger content farm and ability to put out lots of content based on a single video or podcast if you're just an individual by yourself. Because there's like some podcasts where there's like whole teams of people that are going through podcasts and like taking clips and like transcribing it and then creating little short videos or creating TikToks. And so there's so much stuff you can do with audio content or streaming content that just requires time. And this really can allow you to take huge chunks of this content and create lots and lots of different smaller pieces of content off of it.
I am going to go test again. But it probably doesn't like spaces, so I'm not going to do spaces. I don't want to delete letters, though. Another trucker. Okay, we're just gonna.
It's also worth pointing out, though, that in this summary that I provided, since it's getting a fairly small amount of context, it's actually confused about what we were saying. It thinks that when I said you combine the two, it would have been Teach Jenn shit, not Teach Jenn Tech. So it doesn't quite understand that reference. But that's partly because it's like trying to parse like us making like humor with each other, and robots don't quite understand the jokes yet. But I can get ChatGPT to detect irony, which I find to be super fascinating. It's able, so I gave it a phrase where I said I made some comment on Twitter once. I was like, "How dare you?" Hold on, I have this written down exactly in a gist somewhere. So I said, "How dare you discredit my unjustified slander?" And so obviously that's a joke, because slander by definition is something that should be discredited because it's slander. And so it says, when someone says, "How dare you discredit my unjustified slander?" it's important to note that the statement can be taken seriously or sarcastically. In a serious context, the person might genuinely feel offended that you question their false accusation. In a sarcastic or ironic context, the person might be admitting that their accusation was baseless and acknowledging that you have disproven them. So I was just reading ChatGPT, basically responding to that. So I found that really fascinating, that it actually is able to detect things like irony and kind of get into like, what do people mean by things they say.
I think I did the wrong thing.
What are you trying to do right now?
I didn't correct the wave form in it. I need to. Yes. That is probably true. I need to change the file, and I forgot to change the file. I guess I could just. There. Okay. Get up and do. And will you let me type right here? So if I already have it in a WAV file, I don't need to do the first step, right?
Correct. Yeah. That the FFmpeg step was specifically just for that. Make sure you got the exact same name.
No, it is the exact same name. It's not the right folder.
Right. Yeah. If it's not in the samples folder, then you gotta fix that.
I will get that. What folder did I call it?
Yeah, this is not the most DX suite kind of exists. This is like since we talked about this, just kind of randomly off the cuff, like this is a blog post I'm like 20% complete with. So there's a lot more stuff I was gonna do to make this kind of nicer and make it simpler. But for now, these are just like the raw commands. If you want to understand what's going on, start playing around with this yourself.
Okay, so I should look how long this stream is. How long was the stream that I picked?
Upbeat
An
music.
hour and a half, roughly.
Yeah, so that could
So
take
I'm
a decent amount of
curious.
time, and it looks like you start with no one saying anything for a
5
little bit.
minutes? Yeah.
5 minutes. Okay, so it's gonna be playing
It was like
upbeat music for 5 minutes.
the window that or you know how it does a countdown?
Yeah, yeah. What did you feed it?
One of my videos from like 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
Well,
cool.
one of
Which
the
one?
audio from one of the videos from 2 weeks ago.
Which one?
Uh Sniffles. Jen makes tech queries for my database. Queries for my
So this is
it
you by
was
yourself.
yeah, it was on Twitch, but I don't know
Well,
if I ever
so this
uploaded
is
it to
another thing
YouTube.
worth pointing out. You will have noticed when I gave you the example, it's us as two people talking, and that is represented nowhere in this output. So that's kind of
Yeah.
an issue. And there's already in the gist I provided, there's a whole bunch of other services and other open source libraries and stuff we're not going to look at that are kind of trying to. There you are. Hello, hello, beautiful humans. It's always weird
I
when you
don't
give it.
ever say that.
Yeah, you'll start to like visually see things you say all the time when you start transcribing lots of your own text. It's a very surreal experience. But
Oh my god. So we're
for
going to
you
do
by
that first.
yourself, this can be very useful because it's just you talking stream of consciousness. So you don't need to worry about being confused about who's saying what and things like that. Also, I never showed you how this was creating a whole bunch of different files.
I
So
looked at it
yeah, so
because
we should
it
talk
puts it in the
about this
folder.
briefly. I'm not an expert on this. If someone like Ben Myers ever is on your stream again, he can explain these way better than I could. There's specific files for things like captioning software,
Mhm.
or if you want to
SRC.
yeah, yeah. So that's where stuff like that is, and then also gives it to you in a text file, gives it to you in a JSON
Yep.
file. There's a whole bunch of different formats. I just have it right now set to give you all of them. Most of them are probably not going to be useful to you. It's just depending on what you are doing this for, what you want the text to eventually be, and then you can kind of figure out which format is going to make the most
I'm
sense for you.
gonna
This gets back
see.
into this being new tech that is still getting all the kinks worked out. You can't edit all of them at once. Like this is such a huge issue. If you want to fix things in the transcript, which you're going to have to do, and you want it to still be in all these multiple file formats, and you got to edit each of those individual files. So people need to take these open source models and actually build services on top before it's really going to become like a super duper useful transcription tool. But if you're someone who has a bunch of audio, like raw audio that you need transcribed, and it's just like you just want it dumped out, like what you're doing right here, this is the use case it currently is really, really well suited for and will give you really high quality results for no money whatsoever. So I'm glad you picked this specifically. Yeah, so you're talking about
Is it
SEO.
proof that I'm going to talk to myself? Oh, this is when GitHub was down.
Mm,
I started streaming and I needed my website and GitHub was down. I was like,
yeah.
oh, well, I guess we're going to work on something else. Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's moving right along. It's been what, like 4 minutes?
Yeah, and so that's why I for a while I used to do this just with Python. I did like 10 or so FSJam episodes, and I used to just kick it off before I would go to sleep. And then I would just go to bed, I would come back, and then 5 hours later it would be done. So this is why I wanted to show you Whisper, CPP, C++ in particular, because the Python version is really kind of a massive bottleneck unless you're transcribing very, very short clips.
Can you make a GUI for it?
So let me go look at some of the ones that I have actually in here and see. So Buzz looked kind of nice.
You can
This
share
looks
your
like
screen if you want.
no. Let me
Um,
just shoot this over to you. Just
okay.
a link to a site. There's nothing interesting to see here.
Ew. Interesting.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So
okay.
I haven't used any of these yet. So this is why I say this is a this is a blog post I'm like 20% done with. So I have a bunch of references here. I know that these are things that are using Whisper under the hood. I have not vetted any of these tools, but just if people want to learn more, these are the ones that I know about. If you know of others, please share them. I'm like very interested in learning more about anything that's currently trying to push this stuff forward.
I think Parrot also does that.
Okay, great.
I don't think I want to go to the app. Let's do just Parrot AI.
And as far as I know, Descript now is using OpenAI stuff under the hood. But again, Descript's very expensive. And so like I'm not at a point where I can pay like $20, $30, $40 a month to do this because I'm not making any money off of my podcast. But I want high quality transcriptions because that's important to me, you know?
Yeah. I can't, y'all, I'm blind as a bat since I rearranged my desks. Stuff.
So this is parrot.ai.
Yeah. So with Parrot, I checked it out. I liked it. It's still also kind of weird. Like I've had to delete stuff and re-add it because web components. So if I'm looking at this,
are you on the free or paid version?
Technically, they're the same at the moment.
This says there's a personal plan for $30 a month.
Oh, do they have pricing on them now?
Yeah.
Oh.
And this is similar. So let's go get Descript's pricing.
I don't know. Maybe I got in on time.
Right.
Don't tell them to take it away from me.
Descript's actually $12 a month for creator, 24 for pro. Yeah, see, like creator, $12 a month, but it's 10 hours of audio a month. Like that's
I was like, I'd go through that in like a week.
I know that's barely anything. Yeah.
The only problem I've had is I keep saying change all to speaker 1 and I'll not unclick that. And I'm like, oh shit. Oops. So let's change this one to Jen. And speaker 2 is don't change all to speaker 2. Speaker 2 is Chris.
Yeah, and I should mention that like there's dozens of transcription services out there, and the links I gave, those are ones that are using OpenAI Whisper in particular. There's been many transcription services that already existed and may or may not have adopted these tools under the hood. It's really hard to say for a lot of them because like as far as Parrot goes, like I can't really find any information on what's actually happening in the model. And this
so apparently I am on the free version now.
There you go. Yeah. So the vast majority of the transcription services you're going to pay for won't really tell you what they're using under the hood. You kind of just have to use them and find out whether they're good or not.
Yeah.
So I find that kind of frustrating. And this is why I like that now there's an open source tool that we can use. And if something's built on that, I know there's a baseline of transcription quality I'm going to get from it. So I'll be more inclined to want to pay money for a service that is building on top of that. That's kind of where I'm at right now. So yeah, it's this whole thing is something that I've been like researching for like 3 years now, and it's like so frustrating. There's like just not really many great tools that do this because it's such a huge problem. So many people have just transcribing podcasts. Like some of the biggest podcasts in the world don't provide transcripts, and that's bad.
Yeah, it's annoying and hard to do.
Yeah.
And okay, so
it's already a half hour in. That's pretty good.
Apparently, I was talking about Jacob in his Twitter space.
Yeah, but you're talking about all sorts of things.
I'm talking to myself, basically. It's fun. Okay, so I feel like this is pretty cool, and we got a solid, like, figured this shit out. We can let this go on in the background.
Yeah, and now anytime you want to run some transcriptions, you now have the ability to do that for free. You don't got to necessarily go out to a service. How much utility you're actually going to get out of this will kind of vary depending on what you need these transcriptions for. I don't think this stuff is fully baked technology by any stretch of the imagination. And if you're someone who is not trying to go really deep in like running these models on your own computer, you could probably look towards just paying some money and having them do it for you. But for me, as someone who has this issue, I want to know about what the cutting edge open source stuff can do and how to use it. So I found this very useful for me to learn personally, but your utility will vary for others.
Yeah, I say make friends with smart people.
It's a great rule.
Because they'll just tell you when this stuff happens. Like, for example, instead of following all of these tech influencers, I just like follow people that are my friends that follow them that retweet important information.
Dude, you got a powerful network by now, and I told you this was gonna happen when you first created this stream, and now we're a year in, and you can see the fruits of your labor, and
I'm very fortunate for that.
You're a powerhouse.
I am very fortunate for that, and thank you. I have such cool people. Oh, by the way, I don't think I've told you this. You should look at this. Hold on. Let's go to Twitch and go to Jacob's stream.
Never show my Twitch home screen on stream.
I'm not. Oh,
yours is fine.
I was like, I don't even pay attention to them.
Yeah, there's some stuff.
What do you watch?
Oh, don't worry about
it. Like, I don't want to know. Okay. Look at this. Hold on.
What?
Look at us.
Wow.
And that's Chris's wife, Sarah. She plays with us now. And yeah, but look, I like dressed up as my character, and it's really fun. And she is so
That's
mean.
you. I was like, which one are you? Okay.
I am so mean.
Wow.
So mean. It's very exciting. It's really funny. Awesome. You should watch it sometime. I'm going to share this with all of you. Not that you really were ever going to watch it, but if you want to, it's really cool because I'm like the opposite of me as my character. It's so fun. Okay, that aside. Okay, we should go look at my website-y things that I got stuck on. I think I still have it here.
Yeah, I did not go back and watch the stream, so we'll kind of just have to talk out what exactly is happening. What
exactly is. Oh, yeah. Chris, like, I got even meaner. I'm still like, Chris watched last week's and was like, dude, you're the opposite. I'm like, I know.
Okay, which Chris are we referring to?
You haven't met this Chris yet. This Chris is Database Chris, which I met at Denver Startup Week. It was a lot of fun.
Or she. Is it he, she?
Chris does not have Twitter. Chris, why don't you have Twitter? I feel like you should have Twitter. But I have no justification other than everyone should have Twitter now. There's no really.
Twitter's what you make of it, you know. It's and that we talked about this on my very first episode. Actually, I think that you if you're intentional about Twitter, you can meet some cool people, but like you don't need like a Twitter following unless you're optimizing for that for specific reasons, you know,
like your role. There's a link. It was fun. It was a very fun stream. Taught me a ton about like relational and non-relational.
Oh, this is the person I told you to ask whether MongoDB is web scale.
Oh, yeah. Well, now you two have kind of like introduced yourselves. This is Anthony, my internet big brother, who also kind of likes to troll my streams and my guests.
Yeah, I do.
There you go. And Chris is like one of my go-to database people because he knows how to break it down, but also in like a really good way of understanding it with real life things. And I think that's been difficult for other people because databases can be difficult to understand. Like,
yeah, they're highly theoretical, but also highly practical because so much of what we do on the internet ultimately lands in a database at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like things you don't want in a database or in a lot of databases.
Okay, cool. So this should be up to date, but let me show you guys what I was up to in my last stream. This one will, and we did talk about code first versus database first. I did my databases first so I would understand them. Not that it actually needed to be built first, but
I mean,
I'll
it's
show you
like,
guys.
do you build your API before you build your front end? It's all the same at the end of the day. You arrive at the same thing.
It will reconnect. Thank you for reconnecting. Did I put you in? Yeah, I did put you in default. Okay. And go to my tables. Wow. Okay, cool. Okay, so I created 4 tables, and they're the format that Chris and I talked to about, of like, so that way, the channel can and the show can go into.
Can you just click on the channel so I can see like what is in there? Like, can you like visualize it in terms of like the data that's actually in it? Can I see it like it's an Excel spreadsheet? So that's the point of
Kind of.
PG admin, right? Like, do you
No,
have? Is there data in here already?
no.
Oh, okay. Then no, that's okay.
But
Obviously,
it
it's
only has
nothing to show.
well, it does ID and name, and then
Okay, because that would be the first thing I would
episodes.
say. Like, if we're regardless of what we're doing, you should have your data, some data, at least a couple pieces to kind of
Right.
work
And
with.
I can let me open a new tab. Uh mm,
Yeah, something broken in your Zish RC, by the way.
why? Why do you say that?
If you look at the very first line.
Oh, well, that's new.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
because
that was
because you
yeah.
ran that Zish RC command earlier. That was
Yeah, I'm
a
like, that's
question.
new.
That was that command was questionable. So that doesn't surprise me.
Okay, so I can add data in here. Because I do have it connected to Prisma.
Yeah,
Yay.
Prisma Studio does is broken though.
Okay, so if we wanted to add some data, let me go back and look at this.
Like, I would at least have an episode in there,
Okay, add a record. We have episode 1, name. Hold on. Let me not do it this way. Discard changes. No,
Yeah,
I'm
so there's a couple questions here, which is that like there's you how are you even going to get all this data into this database in the first place?
well, that's what I was trying to do.
Okay.
So, well, bleh, go here. Go here. Okay. So, I
Because you need
have
the data in some sort of structured format, unless you want to write a whole bunch of SQL.
no no. Hold on.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
So,
Yeah.
okay, let me just go put an episode in. Please stand by.
Yeah,
We're going to
I'm
distract
still not
ourselves.
entirely sure what your issue even is. So I should just shut up and let you
I
continue.
was going to show you, but you distracted me. But we will do
Continue.
this. We
You
will
know me.
do that. The channel this is ID 1. This is Teach Jenn Tech. And then save changes. Okay. And then we're going to do. Oh, no. Just kidding. That wasn't right. This is the bad thing about like when you're working on it for so long and then you haven't touched it in a while.
Oh,
Show. Add record is 1. And then, um, okay, give me a second. I have to remember how I set this up. I'm just going to work backwards. Add a record. It's going to be episode 1. What is the name of the episode? It is AJC Web Dev. As it has a hashtag of Anthony.
Technically, that's the
Show
second
ID.
episode, but this is okay.
And it pulls the information from show. So, like, see how we were filling this out? It needs to know show ID. So, the show is, if I filled that one out, add a record, it's one.
Honestly, if you didn't work for a database company, I would tell you not to use a database at all to build this website. But this is fine because this is going to be a useful thing for you to have to do.
I know.
Because just what I mean by that is that what I would do in this example for your website is I would just have a bunch of markdown files. Every time you have a new episode, you create a new markdown file with all the information and a link to the YouTube. And that's all I would do.
You do know that I have 70 episodes on the podcast and over almost 100 on Teach Jenn Tech. That is a lot of data to try to keep track of.
No, I'm saying you wouldn't keep track of it. I'm saying every time you have a new episode, you make a new markdown page, and then you just do that every time you make a new episode. So if you wanted to do all of that in one go, there's ways you could do that. But the point is, what I'm saying is that I would want to think of this in terms of pages, not in terms of rows in a database. Now, that not to say one is wrong or one is right. Like, there's a good case to be made for both. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's how I would do it.
So anyway, okay, so I don't remember exactly how my database is structured. That's fine. I can figure that out again.
Okay, so what's the issue you need help with?
That is not what I was stuck on. I did know this when I was streaming earlier, but VS Code. Okay, so I have my schema Prisma. Oh, hey, this actually makes more sense looking at it this way. But I got my schema set up. The way that, let me actually show you the page itself and run dev. So last time I was working on this, I was able to use the template to get the 6 blog posts like set up. Like, this is the template. Cool.
Yeah.
Yay. And I got the top of it set up. I was very excited. We are making progress. And so that's the Teach Jenn Tech version. This is the full default version with blog. And I was so proud because
I have seen these websites, yes.
Yeah, and I was so proud. I'm like, yes, I got this figured out. I am on the right track. Until so to follow blog, what we just looked at is the blog list. This is the blog list.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me look at blog content. Okay. It's in content. It's using. All right, I'll figure this out later. Well, and then we got a blog summary card. And I'm just like.
So your question right now is, what are Astro content collections? That's the question you need to ask right now.
Okay.
That is what is happening right now. And this is something where only an Astro core team member can truly help you with this, because this is an Astro specific convention. Astro created their own thing to manage content. This is not something that was built for databases. This is something that was built for pulling in content from markdown files. So this is why my approach would work very well with Astro. And I have an Astro website myself that I already do this with. What you need to do is you need to get Ben Holmes and Sabin on a stream together to explain how the hell you would do this. Because as far as I know, I don't know if anyone's actually used Astro content collections to pull in stuff from a database. It's a very interesting project. The fact that you're hitting this issue is quite fascinating. Both of them will be very interested to hear this. So I'll say that first off. I don't know if I'll be able to make a lot of good progress with you right now on this, because there's a knowledge gap here, which is that you have a template that's using something called Astro Content Collections, and you don't even know what that is. So figuring out how to get that to work with an ORM is actually quite a challenging thing to do. So you want to get the right people in the room to actually ask the questions of what you even need to be thinking about to get this to work in the first place. So that's what I would kind of recommend. And I can make those introductions if you don't know those people. Those are two good friends of mine, so not very hard to get them in a conversation.
I'm tweeting them right now and saying we're talking about them, and I'm specifically saying that you're saying that they need to be on the show.
Yes, say that. I would also actually let me shoot Ben a question right now. Holmes Dev. I said, yo, has anyone wired up Astro Content Collection with Prisma? He'll know exactly what I mean by that.
I did Prisma with my other. I think I did. I've done. I feel like I did at some point.
Like you did what?
I don't know. Now I have a lot of websites. I have to think about this. Let's go stalk my GitHub.
Let's do this first so people understand what I'm talking about here. Go to Google Astro Content Collections. Because I'm using that term. I'm sure most people probably don't even know what that is. So let's talk about that first, because that's how your site is set up. It's using this content collections. This is a way to manage and author content in any Astro project. And is to organize your documents, validate your front matter. So the fact that it's validating front matter at all should clue you into why this is made for Markdown, and provide automatic TypeScript type safety for all your content. So in my website, what this does is it would be able to say, hey, your meta description in your OG tags is too short or too long. That's the type of thing it can do. It can type. So go back to TypeScript. TypeScript can type check. This can type check a Markdown file, but you're trying to use a database, not a Markdown file. So that's a whole different thing.
So it would skip this content collection to be able to work with Prisma and go to the database.
Yeah, you could query the database directly and just display it on your page, but you would be bypassing what your template has already set up, because your template is now using content collections right now. So you could trash all that, just have a raw Astro project and start making database queries, and then figure out what to do when you get that data back. That's something you can do. I don't know if that's advisable or not. And this is why these are kind of questions that need to be asked to both Astro and Prisma team members, kind of in concert with one another.
I feel like you'll need to be able to be on the show too, to like translate what I'm trying to do. Be like, I'm here to translate Jen. Because it doesn't always make sense.
I think it's a super interesting question. Ben Holmes is like, how would you expect that to work? Which basically means I have no idea what you're talking about.
Please tell him I tweeted that they're going to be on the show. Well, that at least makes me feel better that
Okay, display this quote I just grabbed from Ben. So we only support file-based collections at the moment. You need to write to files manually, I'm afraid. So content collections are not made to work with databases, which is why you weren't able to figure it out. So you should feel good about that you're trying to do something impossible. So you shouldn't have expected to be able to figure it out.
But I don't get why it doesn't work. Like, why wouldn't it work? Why, like...
It's because this is an Astro-specific convention that was created specifically to work with Markdown files. That doesn't mean you can't use Prisma and Astro together, but that means the template you selected is not designed well to do what you want to do with it.
That's all I got.
Well, let me ask him now. Do you know of any Astro Prisma examples at all? That would be the next question. Because if this is what you want to do, which, as I say, you work for a database company, it makes sense for you to build a ridiculous project just for the sake of your work, so you can learn things. I do it all the time.
It is. It
So I've
really
learned the
is.
vast majority of things I've learned in tech. I'm building projects I probably shouldn't have. So don't be discouraged by that. But what you need is you need a starter that already has Astro and Prisma connected in a way that's kind of ergonomic and that isn't using content collections. Which is good. These are important things for you to know and understand. So we are making progress right now. This doesn't feel like progress. This feels like we just went backwards, but we're making progress here. Trust me.
I know I always say his name wrong, but I just tagged Elian in the tweet as well because this is his theme. And I love this theme. I don't want to get rid of the theme. I like the theme. I'm very attached to this theme.
Well, let me respond to this
If
tweet. You didn't put a whole lot of context in there.
Yes, you please fill them in. Chris said, if you really want a good bad idea, you could write something to pull from your database, have it generate a markdown file.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking is the type of starter I'm looking for.
Well, this is a great moment to ask. Because I was thinking that it would query everything and put it into a markdown file with the queries. And then could I put like where would I put the transcripts? Because can the transcripts go into the database? And if they're in the database, will they actually output correctly with like, the paragraphs and stuff?
Well, so once you've got something in a database that you're going to be querying and displaying, you should think about it as just like strings of text at the end of the day, because that's what you're going to be shoving into markdown files or into HTML. So you're going to lose a lot of the structure once you start doing that. But because you have Prisma, you can kind of write your query the way you need to, so you can get the data you want. This is where GraphQL would actually be really useful. This is partly why Gatsby kind of had this problem solved and did it without needing a database at all, really. But again, this is just like most people who create websites like this, they don't have a database with all their stuff in it. They have like they think about things from the pages level. So this is just it's like a different kind of mental models that you need to think about, like what are your database queries? Like what is going to be the query you're going to write in Prisma that's going to get the data you need, and then how do you display that on the page? So there's a lot of ways to do that. And what I would do if I were you, I would start. So if I were Jen right now, this is what I would do. I would first actually get all my data in a database so that I understand what the data is and what I'm actually working with.
Then I can do that. I was stuck earlier, and that's why I was like, oh, I need to figure this out first. So yeah, that's definitely something I can do.
So that's what I want to do, because once all the data is in the database, then I can start working with it and figure out how I actually want to display it on my page. Because until it's actually in the database, or at least just an example, like a dummy example, as long as it's structured correctly in the database, because then I would want to query the database and I would want to just grab a JSON blob of each episode and throw that on the page. Then I would take that JSON blob, I would turn it into a component that looks the way I want it to look, and then I would iterate over that array to display each component in the way I want it to look.
So I need to go back and like look at this in my database that I did set up, but the way it's set up is, so I have the show table, which just has like which show are you doing this on? Teach Jenn Tech or shit you don't want to talk about. And then we have a channel table, which is this going to YouTube, Twitch? Like, where is this from? Where do I watch the video on demand? Basically. Like, so also like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, blah, blah, blah. And then the episode would be taking the information from the show, and then what is the name of the episode? So if this is Teach Jenn Tech, I would have it would grab the show Teach Jenn Tech for show ID, whatever this ID is, and then the name of it would be building a React web app with deploying on Vite and Vercel. And then we would take that information and put it with a channel so we know where it's going with the channel. So that is the database I set up. I just didn't, this is my pretty coloring of it. Didn't know how to explain that without looking at it on my web diagram.
Okay, so Ben just gave me a link to an Astro starter that uses Prisma. There's a huge issue though, which is that's using MongoDB, which is not a relational database. So your whole database deal becomes irrelevant as soon as you use a. So this was Chris's episode, SQL versus non-SQL, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're working with a SQL database right now. She got
Mhm.
relations and stuff. So the starter he just gave me doesn't actually get us entirely to where we want to go, but we could just rip out the schema entirely and replace it with your schema, and that might kind of work after some effort.
I feel like you should just like put them in a group chat and be like, look, let's do this really cool collab on doing this because Jen needs to learn how to use Postgres and really wants to work with Astro and Prisma.
I mean, I've wanted Astro to have nice full stack examples. If we used Redwood, it would actually make everything a lot simpler if I was there. But that's only because I know how Redwood would fit into this whole equation. Most people would say that would make it more complicated. But
I was like, I barely know.
I'm just giving you a solution here. You can take it or leave it.
I mean, the solution would be like, I really could be like, hey, does somebody want to build my website for me? I'd really appreciate it. That could be really cool. And then it would magically be done, but that's not going to help. And I don't want to learn Redwood on top of all of this. Although I will say it finally dawned on me that Redwood came out of San Francisco.
Kind of. It was built by a dude from South Africa in Berlin, actually. But
really?
Yeah.
But isn't it like mainly you? Then why is it called Redwood? Because I was thinking
because so that's correct. That's because there's two people. There's Tom, there's Peter. Tom's the figurehead. He's the guy who lived in Marin and has these redwood trees like in his backyard. He built it with Peter. Peter wrote most of the code. Peter is the South African who lived in Berlin. They worked together on an app called Chatterbug, which was a language learning platform that was using Ruby on Rails as a backend GraphQL API to a React front end. And they realized that this was so painful that they needed to build an entire framework to make it a nicer experience. So then they spent 5 years building Redwood, and they named it Redwood because the first name, Chainsaw, was too violent. The second name, Hammer, was already taken. And the third name had to fit with the explanation Tom already wrote for Hammer.
Okay. Okay.
So
I'm still going with it's San Francisco.
Ben is saying that there's a remix example you should use and translate remix to Astro. I don't know if that's a good idea for you to do because you don't know how to use remix yet. So that's simple.
Can you just tell him I really, really want him
for you to do.
Can you please just tell him I really want him to come on my stream with whiteboards? Like, I need more whiteboards in my life.
He just said, I assume you're on stream right now. I saw the SOS on Twitter. We had to tell him we're not going to figure this out right now, but that she wants you on the stream.
Yep. That's a good way of saying it. That is a good way of saying it. Yeah. Yeah, it would be fun. But hey, I figured out how to make Whisper do its thing. And it's done. Oh, it tells you the total time. Is the encode time or the decode time its full time it takes to do it?
Okay, so Saban's asking where are the database needs here. So I'm going to say you have a database with episodes of a show. It It's a relational database.
I'm going to take a
And-
screenshot of my pretty thing and just be like, look. It's not going to make any sense. I'm very excited about this.
Ooh. Here we go. Prisma and Planet Scale and Astro. This is what you need. This is the blog post. This is one of those things where there's probably only one person out there in the world who's actually created content for this specific problem you have, but this looks like the person.
Yay. What up, Oz? What time is it there? Probably I feel like it's probably like the middle of the night. I haven't looked at that yet. I am very concentrated on resizing stuff on my Miro board. Okay. Do 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 do. Ah. Do do. Sure, that'll work. So I'll need to write an article eventually on how to do it with Ivan. Yay.
No, this is actually, that's gonna be great quality content because Astro is blowing up right now. You should be on the Astro train and creating this type of content for Ivan. So this is great stuff. But
it's already like I'm focusing because I'm like, why Prisma talks about Ivan, but Ivan doesn't talk about Prisma. And I'm like, what? We need more Prisma in our life. Prisma is happiness.
Everyone needs more Prisma in their life until Drizzle takes over. Okay. I just responded to Sabin and Ben. Yeah, I'm not sure if Sabin probably won't be able to help too much because the issue more so is once we have the Prisma queries written. Well, I guess that would you know how to write a Prisma query that would return the episodes? Like,
I mean, that's going to be easy enough to Google and figure out like how to pull the information to query the information.
Yeah, because that's what Sabin could help with, and then actually displaying it on the Astro stuff. That's where Ben would come in, and Ben has used Prisma, so we probably don't necessarily even need Sabin on the stream.
Yeah, but we now have said it, and Sabin already said he'd be on the stream someday. So,
well, yeah, you just have Sabin on regardless. I'm just saying for this specific problem, you might not necessarily need him.
Yeah.
Great. He says, dope. I'm here to help if you hit a snag. Oh, I know you are, Sabin, because he's saving the world.
He is.
That's his email, saving the world.
Good. Yes. Yes. So many dope humans. But yeah. So I have homework to do. That's fun.
You do.
Damn it.
So it's homework to do.
There is. I will get my website finished eventually. Eventually.
Dude, and then once you have it, you'll have that huge maintenance burden of the website. That's worth it though. You need to have your own website. Anyone who's actually like a DevRel kind of deserves it to themselves to go through the process of building their own website.
Well, not just that. I need somewhere to put all my content. Like,
yes. Yeah.
And blogs and show notes.
Notes
I just
for the
decided
show.
And transcripts. And I just decided to make it the most complicated thing ever.
Yeah, that's what happens when you add a database into the mix.
Well, I want to make sure that I understand the databases, and I want it to work the way I want it to work, and it may not, but I'm gonna really understand why.
Yeah, no, I think this is a great exercise. Yeah, even though, like I said, I would not build a site like this. It makes sense for you to, for all those reasons.
Well, that works. Yes, gotta have all the bases covered. Yes. Well, hopefully we get to have a stream soon where Anthony comes on to translate with Sabin and Ben. We're just gonna have a
Yeah.
party.
Yeah, let me know
And
if you get either of them on. I don't think you need to get them both on at the same time. I think you should
dude,
get
that would
Saban
be
on.
really funny.
Yeah, ideally you want to get Saban on first so you can write the queries. Then you'd want to get Ben on so you can then just take those queries and then get them into the Astro project. That's how I would probably do it. Because otherwise, Ben's going to have, if you get Ben on first, Ben's got to figure out how to write the Astro queries with you or have to figure out how to write the Prisma queries with you. And then there'll be nothing for Saban to do.
All right. All right. Well, that's fun. Well,
Or
on that
you could just
oh,
have
what?
me build it in Redwood and then we wouldn't need either of them.
I like Astro.
No, you still be using Astro. Astro will be querying a Redwood API.
Oh.
But actually, yeah, let's not do that. But the next time I come on, I will just show you Redwood in the abstract and show you how to connect that to Ivan, and then you'll have a Redwood Ivan example.
How about we do that on July 5th?
Yeah, that sounds great.
I actually do have to check my schedule. I'm not sure. I moved that week, so we'll find out. But
it's a Wednesday, so I will be doing JavaScript Jam, but we can fit it in.
All right, and I'm gonna be in a new time zone. Oh, that's gonna be confusing.
You're gonna be in Pacific?
Yeah. I'm gonna get all sorts
zone.
of confused. All right, y'all. I'm gonna raid you over to Chris Griffin because he's a dope soul. And dude, Phoenix time is weird. Phoenix time is really weird. I agree.
Phoenix.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice and toasty.
Need to hang out with Lucia. I think she's in Phoenix.
She is. I'm so excited. Yes. And bye, y'all. Thanks for coming to hang out. Bye.